Alright, so welcome back guys, welcome if it's your first time here. I'm Vision Hero Bar Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm going over Lexa, because it is the anniversary of her death, so I'm going to go talking about Lexa from the 100 and give some of my thoughts and opinions regarding the character. Now if the 100 is something you're interested in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. Don't miss more 100 rated content from me moving forward. Now let's begin. Now like I said, it is the anniversary of Lexa from the 100's death. Now I understand the big thing about Lexa's death and everything regarding that. I will always say that and agree that the way she was killed off was poorly done and it could have been done better. It was definitely a weak death and it was definitely something that I feel like could have been improved upon. However, one thing that I don't agree upon is this whole thing about marking this as a big day of her death. I think that it's just a little over the top and kind of ridiculous. No offense to anybody who agrees with that. I just think that one, she's a TV character, and I understand the whole LGBT thing, but I will say you don't need to mark an entire day based on her. I just feel like it's kind of silly and ridiculous. Again, she's a TV character, and I get the whole argument that LGBT isn't totally represented anymore. However, this day and age, though, it is done a lot better. I mean, if you turn on a TV show, just about every night on TV, you can turn on a show and there's an LGBT character on there. So I feel like the whole thing about it being representation thing, I get the argument, but at the same time, like I said, there's so many representation characters nowadays compared to back when she was killed off that it's a little bit over the top. Now, I get the whole thing about how, the whole trope and everything regarding that. However, at the same time, again, I feel like I get why fans are angry, but at the same time, I feel like, again, it's a TV character, and I get fans look up to this, but again, like I said, there's so many other strong LGBT characters out there right now that I don't want to say it's time to move on, but it's time to kind of look at it as, okay, she was killed off in a poor way, the show ended, but let's kind of be civil about this, because there were people out there who, after she died, made death threats to Jason, and I always think that when you go that far, you're no longer a fan. If you're making death threats, then you need to get some mental help, because, death threats is not okay. At that point, you need some help. There's something mentally not right with you. But again, I want to go in a different direction. Usually I kind of go off and kind of say negative things about this, but I will this year instead talk about some of the good aspects of Lexa. And one thing I gotta say is the way they introduced her is very well done and smart, having her be introduced with Jaha and Kane in the way where you think that she's just an average person of the regular resident of the Grounders. Come to find out at the end, she is actually the commander, which was a really well done thing. I think it was a very smart move, and I actually really liked the way it was executed. I feel like I said, she is a very strong, good leader. I think it was done well. I think Alicia Demnam Carey's portrayal of the character was very well done. And I just think, for the most part, I feel like she did a good performance. I think the character had some good moments. I just think that I will always say that I think Alexa is a very overrated character, though. I feel like even though she was only on there for a season and a half, I feel like fans act like she's this huge, big character compared to the rest of the cast. And again, I will say she does have her good aspects. Her relationship with Clark was good. I will always say, though, I feel like her relationship with Clark felt forced. Because I feel like her arc within season 2 only took place over a course of a week, and by the end, they're pretty much confirmed that she's in a relationship with Clark. So I just don't see that. And then you have a time jump between season 3 and 2 and 3, and Clark felt betrayed, then she gets brought to Lex, and then within a week, that whole thing about being betrayed just felt like it was forced, and I don't know, we're good now. It just felt very much forced. And I get what people are saying. Again, she is a great, strong LGBT character, good representation. And look, I will agree, like I always say, her death was poorly executed. It was bad. And yes, I understand the outrage about it. But at the same time, I feel like it's been this long. It's been like I said, you have LGBT characters, strong ones out there. And look, I understand she's important to the LGBT plus community, but at the same time, again, I think she's a strong character, but there's just certain things where I just feel like it's a little too much over the top. I think she was a good leader for the Grounders. She was a well done character, and I feel like her character arc was very well done. Again, though, I've even though she had a good character arc, I do think they could have killed her off way better. Having her being killed off with a stray bullet was just downright ridiculous. I think one way she could have gone out was in a warrior's death. I think that would have been a lot better. And one of the reasons she did end up having to be killed off, though, was due to Fear the Walking Dead, the show ADC is on right now. And I know there are many arguments. People say no, she left she got Fear because she was killed off. Honestly, we don't know the real logistics here. From what I understand, though, is that she was killed off due to Fear, because it was around the same time. So I'm gonna go with that route. But at the same time, I like how they did bring her back. I think it was very well done with season 3 and with the series finale of The 100. It made sense to bring her back, and it was a good way just to pay both homage to the character, give fans a good, boost of excitement. It was a good way to be done, and I feel like at least I didn't see it coming in the finale. I feel like it was a good way to do fan service in the finale, and I feel like it was well done. Even though it was an ADC portraying Alexa 100%, it was very well done that they actually brought her back and did it. They didn't have to do it, but at the same time, it was good to show that yes, they knew this character was important. They knew it was a fan favorite, and they knew how much of an impact she had on the series. So I do commend them for that. Now, some of the other things I did like was how they incorporated her story with the Ice Nation, and I did like that. The one thing I didn't like regarding her story is that they never really expanded on many of the other clans. I feel like since she was commander of the 12 clans, it would have been a good way to introduce some of the other clans other than just the Ice Nation and Tree Crew. I think it would have been really helpful if they had spent some time to introduce the other clans. We don't know much about them except for the Ice Nation, like I said, Tree Crew, and the one run by Luna. All the other ones just kind of were there. They weren't really kind of important, which I feel like was a downside to the series. I feel like they put so much emphasis on the Grounders, and yet we didn't really learn much other than just a few clans that were important. Even if they weren't that important or played a large role in the series, I feel like the other clans should have at least had some kind of presence, had some kind of knowledge about them. I mean, we did kind of get to see some of them, like the one that Ilian was connected to, the one that Maddie was somewhat connected to. We did kind of get Sangera crew, but not much. I feel like they had opportunities to expand on these clans, and I feel like Lexa would have been a good way to do that. Again, she was the commander of all the clans. She could have been a way to, bring those clans into important parts of the story. But they just didn't go that route, which I think was a big miss on their part. I mean, I understand in some areas why they didn't go that route, because they had so much other content that they had to do. But I think at least the first half of season 3 would have been a good way to introduce those clans. We saw that there was unrest within the clans, and I just feel like that would have been a good way to introduce the clans and just kind of expand on them. I think that would have maybe even been a good way for her death to happen. Maybe show these clans wanting to overthrow her, and that's kind of how she goes out. She tries to go out, trying to fight off her attackers, but then at the end of the day, they're too much and overwhelm her, and she goes out fighting for her own life. I think that would have been a good way to have her go out. And maybe fans wouldn't like that. That's just the one I can think of off the top of my head. I feel like there were other opportunities to kill her off, but I think having an uprising within the clans and maybe then that being the catalyst to being her killed off would have been a good way. I mean, either way, she would have been killed off when she was, even if Fear the Walking Dead wasn't something that had come up, because by that point she did fulfill her story arc. And I know people will argue there was still so much more with her story. Unfortunately, I know things regarding story arcs and writing, and as we got into the third season and her and Clark forming a good relationship, it was kind of the point where her story arc came to an end. If you look at Alexa's story arc altogether, she believed that, she couldn't get close to people. The only way of living is just to fight. That was just her only way of going about life. And you can even see it in her final words to Clark that there was more to life than just living. And I feel it's at that moment that she has those revelations of how she should have been living her life, and she finally got there. And then it's kind of a tragic end. And I understand, again, people's arguments that she died too soon, but at the end of the day, there wasn't much more story arc they could do with her. I mean, they could have tried to introduce more, but it would just felt forced at the end of the day. They really couldn't do much more with her. And that's just why she ended up being killed off. Again, I will always agree that she was the death that she went for was poorly executed. Again, I think she should have gone out with a warrior's death, trying to fight, maybe, like I said, protecting herself from a rebellion. I think that would have been a really good thing to have happen. And I feel like, yes, I know people argue that she could have gone on, but at the same strength, like I said, her story arc came to an end. So there wasn't much more they would have been able to do with her. And just overall, she was killed off due to that. Even if she was killed off in a poor way, she was always going to most likely die at that point, if not later on. So I think that, yes, it sucked that she died, but she died, but she went out when she would have, and there were still good aspects to her. Again, she was a strong leader, and her character did add some good twists throughout the story in regards to in season 2. Like, you'd think that they were all going to save their people, then she double crosses our group and betrays them. I really like that. It shows that she's not a perfect leader. It shows that she's flawed, and it was such a good thing. And then you got the episode during the bombing. That was a good episode for her. There were a good handful of good episodes with her, and I think that yes, she was an important character to the LGBT plus community. She is an iconic character for that matter. And yes, she did get killed off poorly, but at the same time, you gotta remember her for the fact that she was strong in those aspects. She was a strong leader. She had that good impact for the LGBT plus community. And while it sucks that she was killed off when she did, just remember that at least you had her. I mean, there could have never been this character. She was there, they had her there, you got that representation. Again, while her death was poorly executed, while it sucked that she got killed off, but I think it's important to also remember that you had this representation, you had this strong female character, and I think that's at the end of the day, that's most important out of everything else. You had the character. If it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the show, you wouldn't have had this character. So, in a way, you should also look at the positive and see that in a way she was important, not just to the series but to the LGBT plus community overall, because I feel like in a way she helped pave the way for more characters that we've gotten over the past few years in different TV shows. But I know your thoughts and opinions regarding Alexa in the comment section down below. So yeah, guys, that's my thoughts and opinions regarding the character of Alexa from The 100. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and share. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. There to miss more 100 rated content from me moving forward. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, which is linked in the about section of my YouTube channel. As always, I'm Vision Hero Boy Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.